This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank, create success, enterprisebanking.com.
We're live this afternoon, as we are each and every Thursday, and we try to bring you the information that you need to know and firsthand. And if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to call us at 978-534-1626. We're glad to answer them. And if we don't have the answers for you, and we're not absolutely certain, we'll get you information and call you back. And we have guests today, and we're going to start off with our favorite friend here, Art from the Art Report. Art, are you out there?
Yes, I am.
I came in here tonight with 30 seconds to go.
Hey, you're getting better, buddy.
I know.
But I know one thing. I'm surprised. I cannot. Some things are believable. Some things are unbelievable. Some things are stupid. And some things are stupid believable. How in the name of anything can you have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in damage from a flood, and the federal government says, "Oh no, we can't. That isn't necessary for us to go there." But they're going to send millions upon millions to the country of whoever to find out why the tsetse fly flies backwards.
95 million. 95 million.
Can you? I don't get it. I'm sorry. Maybe we interrupted their golf game, or maybe we interrupted something. But come November, we must remember this.
That sounds like a poem. Come November, we'll remember. Yeah,
hey,
I don't.
I just created a song. We can and cut a record, have Jane sing it.
Yes, there you go, Jane. Janie, you
Come November, we'll remember.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm shocked.
Yeah,
I really am.
Everyone's in the, everyone. I mean, people that were from the outside, reporters, everybody, people that usually don't comment on these things were in shock as well. Like, are you serious?
How do these people go to work? I don't get it.
No.
How do they face the public over this?
Well,
this is outrageous.
Yeah, it's unthinkable. You said it. It's
what
unthinkable.
What about our senators and our governors and,
Well,
it ain't just the people that said no.
Hopefully.
We got people down the line that should be pushing back as well.
And hopefully they're going to take this serious. And, it's not that we call on our other elected officials that serve this area. We never do, unless it's really, really important. And that's only happened a few times in my tenure. And when we call, it's usually important. So we're going to file an appeal and work with the governor and their staff and MEMA and all the other elected officials. Our senators have been notified, and we're going to give it a push.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I'm going to do my part. I've been sending memos, and I've been trying to be professional. I'm not calling them a bunch of idiots. I'll do that on TV. I won't do that in public. I'm not like that.
Yep. No.
I say, all right. Good luck. Be well. A year.
Same to you. Arrivederci.
Oh, I will. I went grocery shopping today. It cost me $20.
$20? What'd you buy? Can of tomato? Huh?
Twinkie.
$20.
Yeah.
What could you buy for $20?
Nothing like hash, a couple eggs easy over, and a Twinkie.
I guess that's $20. Yeah.
Yeah. See you later.
All right. So long.
Bye.
That was Art from the Art Report. Got his hash. He's fired up about the decision by FEMA And we're going to have some guests. Wendy Weeks is here. Arthur's here from Emergency Management. We're going to take a break, but we are live, as I said, this afternoon. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to say or want to ask a question, give us a buzz at 978-534-1626. If you're watching this now, it's 5 minutes past 4, and the folks at the farmers market, indoor farmers market, are setting up right now as we speak at City Hall at the John R. Tater Auditorium, and they'll be there for the next couple of hours if you want to stop by. Remember, next week is Restaurant Week and also school vacation. We have so much planned for school vacation and for families and kids, and you don't want to miss out. So if you're not going anywhere, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, go to our website, which is Leominster-MA.gov. That's Leominster-MA.gov. Or you could go onto Facebook, and on our Facebook site, it's Leominster Community, Leominster Community Development, and the list of all of the events that are happening for next week are on there. But tonight is the farmers market. Might even get a little snow tonight, I guess, is what they're saying, an inch or two, but nothing substantial. And we're going to take a break, and we're coming right back. We doing What's Poppin' today, kids? No? Yeah. We are. We got a segment of What's Poppin'. People like that. So we're coming back. Be right back. That was the North Worcester County Symphony Orchestra. Jane was there. She was doing the filming. What'd you think, Jane? Honest opinion.
I thought they were really good.
They were really good.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yep.
And it's something you'd see in Worcester or Boston, anywhere. And they were so appreciative of the response they got from the audience because they were, right?
I think they've only been around since like 2021 or something.
Yeah, they're brand new,
Yeah.
brand new. They have an
Very good.
assistant conductor, associate conductor now.
A nice selection, and it wasn't too long.
You know
Just
what?
long enough.
I'm going to tell you something. I was expecting the 2-hour concert.
Right. Yeah,
And
we were too.
it was a little over an hour.
Yeah.
It was perfect, and they just fed off of the audience. I think the standing ovation at the end lasted for about 7 minutes, and
Yeah.
people were just so happy, and you could just tell how excited they were.
And it was packed too. I
it
think
was
there were a lot
packed.
of people that came in from out of town to see them. Too.
I saw a lady today. She stopped me and she said, what did you think of the symphony orchestra? And I said, what did I think? She knew what I thought. She said, what did you think? And I said, what did I think? I think we're lucky to have such an orchestra in the area, and a lot of young people, which don't sometimes get the chance to play at that level. So I give him an A. I give him an
Yes,
A. It was good.
definitely.
It was good. All right, we're back here at Inside Leominster, 978-534-1626. And I know when you're filming these things, 2 hours is a long time when they have something going on
yeah.
for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you're standing there,
Oh my
and
gosh,
the
yeah.
leg.
Need the
it's
option to
like-
sit.
Yeah. And,
Take a break. But
right.
no, it wasn't that bad.
It was
good.
It was good. So I recommend all events be held for an hour. Even intermission. You don't need intermission. Just play right through, right? Let people enjoy it. Then if they need to get up and use the restroom or something, they will. And yeah, so excellent. And that was the North Worcester County Symphony Orchestra, and they did a beautiful job. And they were just as happy as the audience was. 978-534-1626. And Wendy and Arthur's here. Arthur's the director at the Emergency Management Agency. And good afternoon, Wendy Weeks, the grant writer. And if you have any questions for them or myself, I think we were all in awe when we were notified that the other night, Monday night around 6 o'clock, the governor called me and said, I could hear it in her voice, like, yeah. I'm like, well, maybe something's up. Maybe she needs my help at something. Maybe it's MassDOT related. And then she says, well, we just got notified. And then when she said all three categories, I was like, like everything? And she said, yeah, everything. And I said, this doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, we had watched what was happening in other areas. We were told from the beginning, Wendy put together a whole outline, timeline of everything that happened in September 11th and right through up until November 21st, when at the end we got all the engineered plans done. I mean, we really went above and beyond. But the first thing is the process. There were no manuals to be found on how to sort of react to this and what you should or shouldn't do. There were no best practices. There were no videos. There were no podcasts. There was nothing. Just
we often found out after the fact.
right.
The
That's how we
process
learn things
backwards.
is
That's
after
exactly
the
right.
fact. Like
Yeah.
when we got the extension, we're on the phone like, well, you have until December or whatever it was, or November. And we're like, we do? Like,
Yes, and case in point to what you just said, that we received an extension for more than 30 days, but FEMA did not even come to Leominster until 30 days after
Right.
September 11th.
Right.
They came the first time on October 12th.
it was interesting because the very people that came weren't the people that made the decision on the damage. The people that made the damage, the assessment on the damage, were here. So it's like vice versa. It should have been those people. First of all, if I was to give any advice to FEMA, Federal Emergency Management, I would say it's a pretty decent sized agency. When you have a disaster, send somebody out, assign someone, send them out, put them up, we'll put them up, whatever, and they stay here until an application is submitted. That way, if there are any questions at all, because how many times in your lifetime do you do one of these? I've been here 30 years, going on 31. I've never done one. When do you work for the senator and the what's that?
Let's hope this is the only time.
Well, right, but so that's why it's not something that you do all the time. So that's where if there's no manual, no instructions, no guidance, have somebody here to say, well, what about this? Now, luckily, the next day we made our own application and gave it to residents and said, fill this out with description of your, damage. And then, I don't know how much longer was it? Week after?
Well, that became the first problem, is that they told us, you really should start to gather this information. So they told us, do your own form. So we did, sent it out. We got 500 people that filled out the form, sent it back to us. And then we were told somehow we'd met some threshold that they were going to take us serious, and they gave us another form. So that became another problem.
But everything from the 500 had to be transferred to that form.
Yes.
But we had to fight for
Yes.
that. We had to, make sure that happened so nobody fell through the cracks. So that was probably our first inclination that something was amiss.
Yeah, and again, you've been here a couple of years now. This is not, we do a lot of tabletop exercises.
Yes.
We do a lot of exercises.
Yes.
There's nothing to be found. And the thing is, we're required to do these exercises and send information out, but it doesn't seem like it's the other way. And definitely, I know they say, just a week ago, they had a big press thing saying they're going to change how they do business at FEMA. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I think so after the experience we had.
Exactly right. And going back to what you said a moment ago, that to actually have someone from FEMA come out here, an officer from FEMA, and see the damage as it's occurring. One of the comments when they came a month later, which is October 12th, the first time that they arrived in Leominster, and out of necessity, Leominster Department of Public Works and the city of Leominster had started to repair some of this damage. We had to, right? Things like Mechanic Street and Exchange Street and so
you had to
forth.
open it up.
Right. And they said, why is this, why do you have intermediate repairs here? Why do you have temporary repairs here? And we said, because the road has to be open. Downtown
We have ambulances coming through, tractor trailers for the manufacturing.
Yes.
We have a regional hospital, all kinds of healthcare, Reliant, medical offices, schools.
Yes.
This is a city.
Yes, exactly.
This isn't a country road.
Right. And we had already, when they came for the first time, we had already provided them 2 weeks earlier, in fact 3 weeks earlier, with detailed accounting and estimates from our city engineers. Director Ray Racine and Department of Public Works, they're professional engineers.
Right.
And they had already submitted this in writing. So this was not an unknown. For them to come and say, well, this is not exactly as you described it on the night of September 11th. Well, no, we had to open that roadway up, for example.
And the last thing we could do is leave Pleasant Street closed, or those people's homes that were cut off. Last thing we could do is leave that.
Right.
There are places on almost every street in the city in North Leominster that you just wanted us to leave it until you got here.
Right.
And it just didn't make any sense at all. And I think where we ran into one of the issues is we had proposed a particular project, and we said our estimates are this. And I forget what they said, but they said, we have it listed as 600,000.
Yes.
That
what?
was Pleasant Street.
Yeah, Pleasant
Yep.
Street. Like 600,000. There's no way that you're going to do that with $600,000.
Right.
And that's when I said, well, brakes here. We need to hire engineers. And Wendy quickly, the DPW and engineers, hired engineers to go out and actually itemize what it was going to take to put all, like whatever, pipe, screws, anything, guardrails,
Yes.
blacktop, whatever
Yes.
it took to put these things back together and itemize them and then estimate cost.
Yes.
So we send them down, and we're now at 35 million and still finding things.
Yes.
And now, interesting enough, let me find my letter from them. I think it's in here, because I want to read for anybody that didn't catch us, in the last couple of days, because I will take time to read the whole letter. I think it's at the bottom of my pocket. And it's basically a letter dated. Now, this just tells you, as far as PR folks, would you send this out the same day that they approved $95 billion on the Senate floor to go overseas, and then tell people that live in a middle class, working class community, oh, by the way, we can't help you. We're not only going to not help you, we're not going to give you a penny. That is probably one of the strangest moves. They could have waited 4 days for the thunder to die down, people getting over the shock that they're sending over $100 billion, and they're having a hard time pushing their carriage through the market basket, and telling the kids, no, put that back, put this back, we can't afford this, right?
Right.
And they sent this out the same day. It hit the news the exact same morning. But here's what it says, and it's a letter to Governor Healy on February 11th, 6 months to the day that the storm happened. This is in response to your December 11th, 2023 request for a major disaster declaration for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a result of severe storms and flooding during the period of September 11th to the 13th. You specifically requested individual assistance, that is for people's properties, for 2 counties. Public assistance, so this wasn't just for us, just so everybody knows. Public assistance for 2 counties, that's public infrastructure, and hazard mitigation for the entire Commonwealth. And remember, all along we were told you have to get the $3 million for the county,
Yes.
and $12 million for
state.
the state. Based on our review of all the information available, it has been determined that the damage from this event was not of such severity and magnitude as to be beyond the capabilities of the state, affected local governments, and voluntary agencies. Accordingly, we have determined that supplemental federal assistance is not necessary. Therefore, I must inform you that your request for a major disaster declaration is denied. And they'll continue to communicate additional resources that may be available through other agencies and other. What do they mean by volunteer organizations? I don't understand. They keep using this volunteer organizations to address unmet needs for survivor assistance. I don't. So, in other words, they're saying, well, we're going to send you. Well, why are they going to send us? This is what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And this is just makes it so. In other words, what they're saying is it's not the storms weren't severe enough to be beyond the capabilities of the state, affected local governments, and voluntary agencies to repair.
Just take it out of free cash.
Well, just take it. What if you don't have any? There are
Right.
communities that don't have a stabilization account, don't have free cash. And one of the reporters actually asked me a good question, and she said, "Do you think because you guys put this together so fast, like you got everything open so quickly, that they looked at it and said, well, they did that so quickly, they obviously have the resources to be able to put some of these, to do these projects."
Almost being punished for it in a certain sense, that Leominster got on his feet very quickly, so quickly.
If that's the rationale. Now, we have submitted everything to them. They have everything. Wendy has all the graphs in front of her, all the spreadsheets on cost, estimation.
I don't know if a camera can pick
pages
this
of
up,
those
but
things.
this is just pages of cost estimates. This is 58 out of 75 sites that we've submitted everything for.
And just to speaking to the severity of it, what the language that was in that letter, when we look back on the evening of September 11th, $35 million, and in the end it's going to be over $35 million because many people didn't declare. They said, oh, I repaired that myself and so forth. But what has been declared and documented, $35 million, occurred in about 5 hours. Most of it occurred in about 3 hours. We got 9 inches of rainfall in 3 hours, then about another 2 inches over the next couple of hours. I can't imagine something too much more severe than what is documented right here in Leominster.
Especially when, like, Colorado gets 12 inches of rain all year.
Yes.
And the rest of it is snow melt.
Right.
I mean, there are places that only get that much water, and we got that in 5 hours.
Yes.
11 inches of rain just came tumbling down on us.
And we received another 5 inches in the next 5 days after the storm of September 11th.
Right.
So if we want to talk severity, that's $35 million in damage sustained in one short 5-hour period.
Right. 978-534-1626. And Arthur is here, head of the emergency management. Wendy is here, does grants for the city of Leominster, and just chatting about the letter that we received from FEMA on February 11th, and the information that they shared with us. And we're trying to understand it. So I think the point now, we can appeal, and the governor already said, we're going to appeal, and we're appealing, together, and we'll work with them. And we don't know yet what the appeal process is. Like, what is the appeal process? They haven't sent that to us. Says you have a right of appeal, but they don't send anything with you that says, if you get stopped on the side of the road and you get a ticket, they said, you have a right of appeal. You flip it over, there's the instructions on how you appeal your ticket.
Right.
Nothing.
And it's 30 days.
Yeah, and it's 30 days, and you've got 30 days to appeal. So we know what we know. We know what we submitted. We know how we got there. We shared that with them. If they didn't believe that we had enough damage in dollars, then I think our next thing is, well, we want to see what the rationale was for that. We want to see how you came about making that decision. What were your transactions amongst each other here, and who are these people that make this decision? They know who we are. when we submit these things. They met us all. All right, who are the people who make these decisions or estimate the cost of these projects?
Yes, that's exactly right. And you brought up all the damage along Pleasant Street there. That's just one example. In other words, when they take the City of Leominster estimate and then correlating to the City of Leominster is now a private engineer, a professional engineer, and those two estimates correlate, and then they decrement it. We don't understand why they decrement it, and we don't have a reason for that.
Right. These people look at it, they estimate. These are the people that work here in New England.
Yes.
And some of the projects we just finished.
Yes.
And so when we show them, like, this is blacktop that was all ripped up after the storm, we just got through, or sidewalks. All we have to do is show them a copy of the bill.
Right.
And they were still saying, well, that's not our cost. Well, I don't know where you're operating, but, somewhere down south, I don't know. Where are you operating? So it'll be interesting, sort of like discovery, I guess, in a court case, when you're like, okay, this is the part. Well, so I think we're going to ask for that information ahead of time. We also have retained a consultant, and he worked for FEMA at one particular
25
point.
years. He worked for FEMA, and for 10 years he's done just this.
So
he's done managed disasters when people get a declaration and helped people appeal.
Right. And I think everybody's just shaking their head saying, you mean this wasn't, like you said, this wasn't bad enough?
Right.
Like, there's something else worse than this? And it affected North Leominster, South Leominster. I mean, it affected, I took a report around yesterday from the Globe, and I showing it geographically. I said, we are surrounded by 12 hills.
Yes.
Those hills can't absorb that water, and water goes downhill, and it comes quick.
Yeah.
And this was, and these were situations where we are so lucky that we didn't have any loss of life. There are pictures now. The strange thing is that kind of my brain moves so fast, so forward, that I'm always thinking, there's always something in front of you. And we were watching the video that Carl Pemerini did.
Yes.
And you see those people standing on the top of their cars.
Yes.
Or in a situation where somebody is coming out of their house because they're alerted to the fact that this is dangerous, like you've got to get out of your house. And they go back into their house to get a few things, and the neighbor says, no, you've got to leave right now. So they leave, they get in almost out of the driveway when the rest of the front of the property just takes off.
Yes.
That's real threat to life and injury. And all those people at 556 Central at the trailer park had to be brought out in boats. So we're lucky that our response was the way it was. I mean, we reacted quickly. And just to have them say that this wasn't severe enough, was it because there wasn't a loss of life or nobody got injured or what? I mean, is it because of that? So we can't figure out because we don't know. And we're not beating up on FEMA because we have some recommendations on things that we think would improve. In fact, we had this discussion way earlier about, next time this happens to another community, we're going to have the buddy system. We're going to let them know. We're going to call and say, hey, listen, this is what you got to do. Make sure you do this and make sure you do that. And we kind of got a hint that this is, that they were operating under some just bizarre system that nobody can understand. So I just hope that in the discovery process or in the appeal process that we're also able to ask them questions in advance and get some answers so that, part of the appeal is having all the information. Yes. We don't have their information. We have a letter.
Right.
We have nothing else from them except for a letter.
Right. As you said, it would be very clarifying. It will be illuminating, right, to see how they arrived at the decision that they did. And, to your earlier point, that road intersection, the highway intersection really, State Route 12 and State Route 2, that was underwater for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Underwater.
Yeah. Route 2 was closed.
Yes.
You could see videos of tractor trailers trying to get it through. They had to back people off the intersection. There were people that were trying to get home that said, I ended up having to go back to like Westford or Lowell or back to Cambridge or get a hotel room or stay with relatives and friends because I couldn't get back. And so apparently, as they say, the damage from the event was not such severity and magnitude to be beyond the capabilities of the state, affected local governments and voluntary agencies. And I'm still trying to figure out what they mean. Do they mean that we raised $500,000 through the United Way? that, oh, we raised that much money, so we should be able to raise that enough. I don't understand it. It's just, it clearly doesn't make any sense to us, and you know, we lived it. We had first-hand, you know, we were out there that night, and it just got worse in the morning.
Yes.
So we could see what we saw at night, but you really, you know, as the rain stopped and got into the wee hours in the morning, we were dealing with the dams and overflow, and as, you know, as the sunlight came up.
Thank goodness for, you know, there were some very generous people out there that donated, because so many people, I think in the end, it's over 1,400 homes that were damaged. People had their water systems, their heaters,
The people
furnaces.
that we helped with that $500,000, now, we made sure that the money got to those who needed the assistance the most. And we had a good process set up. We fill out an application, we help you fill it out. If you said our heating system won't work, we send a plumber out to evaluate that. City's plumber, right? Somebody we hire. They went out and said, no, they need to apply. Or the pilot blew out, we're going to relight it. And think of all the people who would have had no heating system on a day like today, no hot water, and then all of those whose electrical systems, once they were submerged in water, had to be replaced.
Right.
So we were working with those that needed it the most. Caller, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dino.
Hi, Crystal.
How are you today?
We're good. We're good.
I feel so bad because FEMA doesn't want to do their job.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, we'll have a better understanding later. I think they're nice people and they mean well, and they have a system that they follow and rules or whatever, or policies, but we'll, you know, hopefully we're going to find out soon.
Yes.
But they also have a local office, which shouldn't make it too difficult to get information. We'll get on and pick it up.
I saw Wendy last week at Hannaford. Did she tell you that?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Crystal.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.
So
Bye.
long. Yeah, so they have a Laurie Ecklich, Ecklich, Regional Administrator. So we can let them know, hey, we can come down and pick up this information. We'll be glad to send somebody down and pick it up. 978-534-1626. 26 minutes left here. You're watching Inside Leominster. We're talking about the letter that we received from FEMA. And the letter went directly to the governor. We got up in the morning and there was news already reporting on this, and we didn't have a copy. I said, do we have a copy? No. So we had to call FEMA, put a request into FEMA to get a copy of the letter. About what, 8:45 we got our letter. But let's just pause for a second just to thank everybody who, I mean, we called out every city employee. We called on the state police and MEMA and the fire marshal's office and other mutual aid and other fire departments. And
The Office of Dam Safety came out in the middle of the night.
MassDOT came
Yes.
out. They were here
Yes.
within, that was one of the first things I did is call them. And the secretary was out here, the commissioner was out here, and I mean within like an hour.
Yes.
They were out here. And most of the time it took them to actually get around to be able to get here, you know, so we could say, well, take this road to this road to this road. And
The
we got
director
them
of MEMA herself was here.
Yeah, the director of MEMA was here. We had, as I said, Maribel Fournier was here from the fire marshal's office. And people responded quickly, very quickly. The press responded quickly, so they were able to help us communicate to stay off the roads. Don't bother, you're not going to make it through, this is dangerous. And it wasn't like calls were coming in at dispatch, the dispatchers, the police department. I mean, hundreds of calls were coming in at once. At once, they just kept coming in. And you had people calling from all over the city. It wasn't like this was, you know, sometimes you get a fire or an accident and you get like 50 people calling. It's an accident in, you know, Pond and West. This was stuff everywhere. Next to Longhorn, that whole thing blew out. So people were calling. That was all flooded. Cars were stuck there. This wasn't just isolated to one area. And it was everywhere.
They were actually the calls and people calling in and advising us, they were a great source of information, actually,
Right.
too, because the night became very dark very quickly, much darker than
It did seem
seasonably.
that way, didn't it?
Yeah. And many people saying, gosh, the road, just like a hole blew open in the road. And
The
that,
wall caved in, or
exactly.
water blew out my garage. or
Yes,
the
yes.
whole basement's flooded with 8 feet of water.
Yes, the railroad bed washed away.
The railroad was washed away, thank goodness. A lot of heroes, at some point when this simmers down, we're going to have to kind of get out there and thank some of the people that came to do sandbags,
Yes.
people that helped us to evacuate the folks over at 556 Century Street.
Yes.
There'll have to be that day. Right now we're engulfed, submerged, no pun intended, in this. But even days after, bring in people pumps, bring in
Yes.
people fans and dehumidifiers and whatever it was. And then we got these mysterious phone calls from these different religious organizations, is what they were, who came out and assisted people with, the thing is, when you get flooded out and you lose things, there's a hope or a thought or a prayer that you can save this stuff.
Yeah.
And part of the process is coming to realize that you can't, that you have to now get rid of this stuff. Because, and I had that same thing happen to me where friends said, look, I know you want to try to dry this out or you want to try to save it, but you can't. And if you don't get rid of this, now it's going to turn to mold. You're going to have smell, odor problems. This compounds.
Right. Right.
The best thing to do is get rid of this as fast as possible. Get this place dried out. Get some dehumidifiers down before we get mold. Now you got a whole nother problem. It's a process to come to those terms. And these groups came in and mobilized and helped people to clean out their basements and dispose of this at no cost. And we set up dumpsters over at Doyle where people could bring things.
Yes.
And it had a disaster like this. And they didn't even call it a disaster. They called it, what did they call it? They said, event. It was determined that the damage from this event. Right. and they say, they didn't even say disaster, right?
Those organizations, the one organization came all the way from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Mennonites, Christian Action, is their name, and then New England Baptist also came in, and Team Rubicon came in, and they funded themselves coming in. It really was extraordinary. Really was extraordinary.
We had people bringing us food and leaving out food and doing whatever they can. We even lost some equipment at emergency management that we got flooded out.
Yes.
That we used. City Hall got flooded out. Some of the schools got flooded out. But again, everyone took immediate action. The superintendent, like, hey, get whoever you need to get these things because we're going to need to open school. This is a city. It's a busy place. We can't leave it closed until these people get out here, examine it, and take pictures and all that. I don't know. Do you have any footage back? Do you guys have Carl's video that he had on YouTube? Do you have Carl's video? He did a great job. I mean, the video he took is. Do you have that video?
Yeah, we don't have that.
It's on YouTube. His video, and it's sad to, I mean, even the reporters were like, "What? Are you serious?" Like, they couldn't even understand it. Like, we cover New England, and they've been up to Vermont, and they're up in. Certainly, we're not minimizing what happened up at the coastline. People lost houses, and I mean, it was devastating, and roads were closed, et cetera. And we get that part. We're not minimizing any of that. We're just speaking to this area and how much work went into putting this together before you could hit the button that says send.
Right.
Thinking that, and I know I had conversations with Wendy and like, no, we're way over the minimum. But the thing is, they never mentioned these minimums, the criteria you need to get to. But that's all they talked about.
Well, it's what gets taken out, but we don't know what that is.
Right.
They would always say that, if you have a project, you have mobilization at the beginning of the project, and they say, well, mobilization's doesn't qualify, so you have to take it out. Well, okay, but you have Pleasant Street, at 2 million, and you say it's 600,000. Well, mobilization doesn't cost,
Right.
doesn't cost
Right.
all that money.
And we know
Right.
what it costs. We do projects all
Right.
the time. We do
Right.
bridge
Right.
projects, and we know what the cost. 600,000. We know. Even the small bridge programs, which is $500,000, do almost nothing.
Right.
And that's the problem now. Is even the small bridges now, under with inflation and cost of materials, even that isn't enough to do a little tiny little bridge here. And we're talking piping, which is, I think the piping was almost $1 million to kind of pipe this thing. We're going to have to get the house and purchase the house and
Yes.
rip the house down, and hopefully there's no asbestos in it or anything, and get it down, and then start. That's
Right.
$600,000 right there.
And that brings up another point that became something that was discussed. Our DPW engineers and then the engineers that we hired both pointed out that to replace these roadways, these bridges, and so forth, we have to buy that in 2023 or now 2024 dollars,
Right.
not 2016 dollars. And remember, a lot of the estimation that FEMA was looking at was old. It was 7 years old. Well, gravel, asphalt, crushed rock, these things.
Crushed
since
stone is like quadrupled in price.
Yes, yes.
Well, there was a project up at No Time we just got through, so we could take the receipts from that and just show it to them.
Right, right.
And even that, I guess, they had a question with. So, what's next? I guess what comes out of this. We've got about 17 minutes left, but what comes out of this next? Next is you already did the language that says we want to file an appeal.
Yeah,
Governor's
and
office.
we requested all of our
Right.
information and, like how they arrived at all these determinations and costs. And, we have the number of, on the individual assistance side, we have the numbers that they came up with for major damage to houses, which we think is way off. So tomorrow, people are going to be able to help us with that. We're going to announce that we're going to be looking for very specific properties, even if they're fixed. So we'll have that announcement tomorrow. People can get us that money. Hopefully, we can add to the major private property list.
So somebody that went ahead, like in my business, we didn't file for anything. We just figured, we're going to file, just throw this stuff away, pump the water out, whatever, right? There are people that never made any kind of a claim or fill out anything. Let's try to find those people so we can say, well, look, they went ahead and did it themselves, but this was damage. This is damage.
Yeah, major damage. Because that's the fastest way you can get to the individual assistance declaration is to find major damage, which is, the electrical panel submerged.
Sure.
And,
Right.
and I think there's quite a
I mean,
few
we
of
had a
those.
whole entire high-rise that had to be moved.
Yes.
A whole entire high-rise
Yes.
that had to be moved. Everything was submerged in water. Churches, synagogue, submerged in water. Schools. Everything. So for them to just call this an event was quite interesting. All right, thank you. Did we forget anything?
I just want to
Yeah.
say one more thing, and that on October 12th, when FEMA and MEMA all came out here, the city did a really great presentation. These people aren't from here, a lot of
Right.
them, and we
Yeah,
told
of
them about
course.
the community, and we showed them, these maps of the evacuation areas and the 12 hills. We went through all that. And then we split up into 3 city teams matched with them. Some people went to small businesses, some people went to homes, and the other people checked out public damage. And that was 2 days worth of showing them what the damage was. And at the end of the last day, on the 13th, they stood behind the treatment plant and they said, "We need this information from you." And it was 2:00, and they said, "We need it by midnight."
Yeah.
And we did it. And I think that's the point that over and over and over again, the whole city team jumped through hoops for this
Oh,
thing.
no.
Yes.
I
It's
mean, it
been
was
6-7 months of jumping through
and I
hoops.
think
Right.
that's why it's so
Right.
difficult to get this news,
Yeah,
is that
and
there
at
was...
first they were very casual, like,
Mm-hmm.
just, no, don't. In fact, when I said we're going to hire an engineer to do this, I'm like, we're not fooling around. We're going to hire engineers. You don't have to do that. Just send in the information.
Right,
They were
right,
so cavalier about the whole thing. And don't just take what you got and send it to us by tonight, that kind of thing.
That's
know?
exactly
Yeah.
right. That's exactly right.
All right, we're going to take a short break. Thank you both for coming on. We'll update everyone as we continue on in this never-ending, apparently, saga here. But we're going to, as I said yesterday, you could get aggravated. You could have all kinds of emotion about this. But for us, we have to be, we have to fix our attention and put our emotions behind and our energies behind this appeal. Taking a short break, and we'll come right back here. record inside Leominster. Just, 12 minutes left to go here, a little over 12 minutes. And we're back, and let's see, we got much to do here in just a short amount of time. So I will remind you that next week is Restaurant Week, and many of the restaurants are participating. They have great deals and meals, and then next week is Vacation Week, and we have so many things for families and individuals to do. And kids, go to our website, leominster-ma.gov, and Leominster Community Development on our Facebook page. If you're looking, we could use some people to donate blood on February 28th, 9 to 2:30. And they've always had, Mass General comes out here, they always have great success with the blood drives here in Leominster. So give our office a call, 534-7500. We'll help you get signed up. Yeah, they have so many cool things next week. Listen to this. They have an animal adventure, Family Zoo and Rescue Center. And at Animal Adventures, you'll get to pet and learn about the different animals. That's coming up next Tuesday, the 20th, over at the Veterans Center from 3 to 4 o'clock. And that's free, by the way. And again, here's that whole calendar. I'm sure we have it up on cable here on the Rolodex, I hope. And it's all right there for the whole week of school vacation. Babysitting classes coming up March 4th and 6th. This all being put upon by the Leominster Recreation Department. And again, Leominster-ma.gov. Now, maybe you run or you're a member of a gym, or Pilates, or I don't know, yoga, or kickboxing or something. Well, we're having a health and wellness fair coming up March 28th, and they're looking for vendors. If you're interested, call 800-579-1000, or call our office, and we'll switch you to the right people. If you're looking for a summer job, people have kids, grandkids, neighbors. We're looking for summer help at the Recreation Department at 534-7529. If you want to know what's going on at the Leominster Public Library, well, on Saturday is Sand Art. Sand Art's fun, and that's at 2:30, and then we're open, remember, on Sundays from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock, and then we're closed on Monday for President's Day, and then next week the library is just, again, between the library, City Hall, and the Rec Department, we have just back-to-back events. Almost every day there are 2 or 3 things happening, not to mention that on Tuesday will be the movie night at City Hall, and we still have tickets at City Hall. The LeominsterLibrary.org, you can find out their whole schedule. They already got marches printed up. It's amazing. All right, Lenten dinners start at St. Anna's tomorrow, and you don't want to miss those. It's a great deal. It's $13 for the fish dinners, but they also have things like pasta and haddock and coleslaw and everything else. 4 to 7 over there at St. Anna's, right on Lancaster Street and Darling Street. All right, 2,792 people tested positive across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Leominster was at 20, so we're down 5. 37 deaths, 1 is too many. It's National Love Reset Day. It's National Gumdrop Day. It's National I Want Butterscotch Day. It's National Susan B. Anthony Day and World Hippo Day. In 1943, wartime propaganda poster, We Can Do It, produced by Howard Miller and posted on the walls of the Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company's plants in the Midwest. And in 1950, if you remember Cinderella, that was one animated film, Cinderella hits Boston. 1965, John Lennon passes his driver's test. In 2002, Walt Disney releases Never to Return Land. That's an animated sequel to Peter Pan. In 2003, an estimated 6 to 11 million people around the world take to the streets to protest against the war in Iraq. And then in 2005, online video sharing site YouTube is launched in the United States. And it's just one big commercial. All right, let's get to, what do you guys want to do? Let's what's poppin'?
Do you want to do pictures of the week or what's
Let's do what's poppin' first. Okay. We got 7 minutes left here. Look at that. I start out with no pens today. Look at me, riding with 2. Look at me, huh? All right, what's poppin', kids? How Z are you a Generation Zer, right? All right. February 10th, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced 15 nominees for its class of 2024, including Jane's Addiction and Oasis. Where's the list?
There's more
All right.
shares on there.
All right, that's okay. Shares on there?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when they do it, it's not the previous year, it's any time. It's like lifetime achievements sort of stuff.
You had to be within 20 years.
All
of
right,
recording it.
that's lifetime. February 12th, a week after his death, Toby Keith returns to the top of the Billboard album chart, and the name of the album is, what is it, Keep the Old Man Out or something? You get what that means? You Generation Zers get what that means? Do you get it? Do they, Jane? See, now, here we go. Now, here's another generation. Now, you guys have to answer questions about our generation. Do you get why don't let the old man in? Do you get it? It's fighting. Stay healthy. Do whatever you have to do to stop turning into the old man.
Right.
Right? Is that how it would go, Jane? Is that a fair explanation?
good to me, yeah.
No, I mean, it's Clint Eastwood, isn't it? And it's the movie. It's the movie. He used it in the movie. And I think what it means is, just try not to let the old man in, right?
Yeah,
Trying to hang in there and stop, right? And stay in shape, watch what you eat, so you don't turn into an old man sitting in a rocking chair and, at 50 years old, I guess. I mean, at some point, you earn your stripes. You could sit in the chair and say, hey, I've done things. All right, Kate Perry leaves American Idol after 7 seasons. All right, Katy Perry, is that dramatic for American Idol? Was that a big deal?
I mean, the show ended and then it came back.
Yeah, I mean, it's 85th season. Look at that, Valentine's Day. Marvels, The Fantastic Four. Cast Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joe Quinn, and Eben Moss-Bachrach. Millennials and Generation Zers use dating apps as their primary way to date. Millennials? Would you say so? Millennials? Yeah, I think more millennials do that. I mean, we were having this discussion the other day about when we were young, there was like, you always had to be out in a nightclub, or had to be out on Friday. Why? Well, because you were trying to meet somebody, right? I mean, that's why people went out. Because today you got dating apps, Facebook. There are so many more ways that you don't need these big nightclubs anymore to go out and meet somebody socially, right? So millennials and Generation Zers use dating apps as their primary way to date. 18 to 25-year-olds make up more than 50% of the average dating sites. I would have to agree. And you know what? They're pretty good at it. They're pretty good at screening the people. They've mastered this whole thing. Good for them, and I hope they find somebody. But why, compared to older generations, millennials and Generation Z are hesitant to say that they're dating someone and do not take commitment lightly? Hesitant to say that they're dating somebody and do not take commitments lightly? That is because Generation Z prioritizes themselves as individuals with a solid financial foundation before choosing to settle down. This is true. That's why they're getting married later. They're doing more things. Plus, they know they're going to live till 100. No, really. I mean, let's face it. People got married at 20, 21 years old. And if you live till 80 or 90 years old, that's a long time with one person to aggravate you, right? In a lot of cases. No, it's just they know that they've got time and they need to do things on their own and explore the world and, All right, let's check the stats. 83% of millennials spend up to 2 hours a day on dating apps. 40% of the Generation Zers download to meet new and interesting people during the COVID-19. More than 74% of millennials and Generation Z use online dating apps. Okay, that's higher than I thought. 50% of them, 50% use them at least weekly, and a third pay for at least one app. I guess the thinking is if you pay for it, you get a better chance. And over 70% of young singles prefer a phone call before meeting up for a first date. Good move. 75% of Gen Zers are single, and 72% of millennials make conscious decisions to be single for some time as they value freedom and independence. What am I looking at here?
These are celebrities who met online dating.
These are all celebrities that met online dating. How cool, huh? All right, good. Do you know the Generation Z slang? The word of the day is situationship. What is it? Situationship?
Yep.
Situationship.
I guess it's when you're in a relationship and it sort of becomes complicated as a situation, that's what situationship is. Am I close?
Let's take a look.
It means a new dating term that describes a relationship that is not considered to be formal or established, often characterized by emotional intimacy and spending time together. Okay. Okay. Hey, let's do pictures of the week, man. It's situationship. Can't you just say it's complicated? All right, let's do some pictures of the weeks, kids, because we only have about 1 minute and 37 seconds. I'm trying.
We got it.
All right. I'll do them. Hurry up. There we go. All right. There we go. Pink in the Rink. That was last week. Well attended. Raised a ton of money. Thank you to everybody who was able to come out. Old friends never get old. There I am, Joe and Ray and Mike. And you see these old friends you went to school with, and boy, it never gets old, huh? It keeps us young. We're keeping the old man now. Example of storm damage in the Nashua River. This is damage that, this work just got done stabilizing that area right there as you speak. Phase 1, North Nashua, complete except for some plantings in the spring. New water tank is completed. That's a brand new water tank up there at distributing up behind or just below No Town Reservoir, brand new. Work on Orchard Hill extension to be completed by June of 2024. That'll open up an industrial commercial park. Technical review, that's where all of us, department heads and inspectors meet, proposed new projects in the city, and we try to help them out, give them the kind of heads up on things so they don't, no surprises when they start to do their project. Northwest School Career Day with School Resource Officer Morrell, and that was well attended, and those kids look great. Congratulations to Noah Gray, second ring in his second season. Is there anything else better than that? All right, we're out of time here inside Leominster. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the whole crew for coming in. They do a great job and make me look good when I roll in here with only 30 seconds to go. Imagine that. All right, good night, everybody. Remember, the world's run by those who show up. Thanks for showing up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank, create success, enterprisebanking.com.
This is LTV.